Welcome everybody. Today it's a really somber day. At the same time, it's also a day where we're going to discuss some very critical things to help our community recover from some of the challenges that they're facing. And so, if you're joining us live today, we're going to talk about disaster recovery contracting opportunities. And so, it's a mixed bag. In the middle of chaos, there's a lot of sadness, a lot of challenges, lots of loss. But at the same time, in the middle of chaos, there's also opportunities to help our communities recover. So that's what we're going to be talking about today is disaster recovery contracting opportunities and how you as a business owner can help our communities rebuild and put together what they have lost and help them pick up the pieces. And so as an entrepreneur, as a business, as an organization, this is your opportunity to help the communities rebuild. So I'm going to share my slides in a second here. I really want to welcome all of you. Thank you for joining us today as we talk about how do we help our communities rebuild. But at the same time, as you're doing good, you help your company as well. So my name is Abraham, and let me pull up my slides, and we're going to go ahead and dive right on in. Now, if you're joining us, please put in your name, not your name, but your company name and where you're joining us from. That will give us a little bit more perspective of who's with us today. So one second as I queue up my slides here. We've got a lot of goodies for you guys. The slides will be available for you. Stay with us to the end, and we will be addressing that as well. So, okay, let me know if you can see my screen okay here. So if you're joining us, welcome. If this is your first time joining us, this is our every week we have a Learn How to Win Government Contract podcast here, powered by the Government Contractors Association. I am your host. My name is Abraham Sion. I am the president and founder of the Government Contractors Association. We've been around for about 15 years. We've trained over 15,000 companies, and we've helped businesses win billions and billions of government contracts. But in all of this here is not about us, right? It's about you. You are the reason why we do what we do here. And we were founded on a mission to empower and to give access to businesses to get into the government market. And so we love what we do here. It's an honor, privilege to have all of you join us. Today, we're going to be talking about disaster relief contractor opportunities. And it doesn't matter what industry you are in, there's some opportunities there for you. But before I really dive in, we're going to take a moment of silence for the losses, the families that have gone through the devastation. So we're going to take a moment of silence for all of them. And if you're someone of faith in your own time, feel free to pray for them silently in your own minds and in your own thoughts. I will be doing the same in this moment of silence. All right. So appreciate that moment of silence for the families and the loved ones that have gone through this tragic and traumatic time here. At the same time here, I appreciate all of you joining me today. We're going to be talking about disaster relief contracting opportunities. And with that, the slides will be available for you. And If you stay to the end, we will give you the link to it. So take as much notes as you want. This is being recorded as well. So if you're watching this on replay, let us know if you want a copy of the slides here. We're going to be talking about three core areas. One is we're going to be talking about how opportunities for individuals and meeting their needs. And then we're going to talk about opportunities for organizations. And then the third component, we're going to talk about contracting opportunities for businesses. And so stick around, and we're going to be covering those three things there. Now, I'll give you a little bit of background, little references. This year alone, we have had over 151 natural disasters here in the United States. Now, I'm not talking about worldwide. We're talking about so much of it worldwide. But just in the United States alone, we've had over 150 natural disasters. And we've seen hurricanes, we've seen wildfires, drought conditions, earthquakes, tornadoes, atmospheric river, and lots of other different type of devastations. But as I shared earlier, as tragic as this is, in the middle of the chaos, there's opportunities to help the communities to recover. And so that's really what we're talking about here today. So if you look at this here, in terms of natural disaster that have impacted over $1 billion worth of damages or economic impact, there's been over 20. Number 21 is hitting this evening as Hurricane Milton is going to go through Florida. So we're talking about 21 natural disasters that have caused over $1 billion in damages. So that's really, the severity of the environment and the times that we are living in, all the way from the West Coast and to the Southeast, to the Northwest. It doesn't matter where you're at. There's some level of impact through these natural disasters that's happening. Now, in terms of wildfires, there's over 36,000 wildfires that have burned over 6.9 million acres. There's 58 active fires right now as we speak. And then as it relates to droughts and tornadoes, over 1,435 confirmed twisters this year. And drought, you can learn more about drought conditions through this website here. I'm going to be sharing a lot of resources, a lot of links, a lot of websites for you to use to inform yourself, to share with your communities, but at the same time also for you as a business owner, for many of you are business owners here, for you to utilize to help you get into the government market. If you stay to the end, I'm going to be talking about Teaming Co-op. We are actually forming a coalition or cooperative of companies to pursue construction and debris removal and contracting opportunities related to construction logistics facilities. And so we're going to be talking about what is a teaming co-op. So stay to the end, and I'm going to be sharing this here with you so that you can potentially might be part of the co-op that we are bringing together. And really what that means is that we will pursue the opportunities on your behalf. As long as you, as well as you, but we're going to be doing it on your behalf through a cooperative manner. So it's going to shortcut your process. So we're going to be covering that at the end. If you want to learn more about what is a co-op, it is teamingcoop.com. My producer is going to put the link in the chat. And so you can learn more about Teaming Co-op there. But diving in, as a case study, I'm going to talk about Hurricane Helene. Because I'm in Atlanta, Georgia. Some of our staff members and our team members are out in South Georgia, in Augusta specifically. They've been greatly impacted. Trees fell on their homes, without powers for days, without food, for a short period of time, and so with immediately to people I know, there's been some type of impact. Now, Hurricane Helene has caused not only damages, but specifically loss of lives. Uh, as of 3 days ago, when I was doing the final count for in terms of numbers of deaths, 223. But the total tally has not is changing every single day because there's still people realizing that not only are people missing, but they're discovering lost loved ones there. We're talking about estimated damages in terms of $35 billion in terms of property damages, and then 6.4 billion in terms of insurance claims. Now, all this here are estimates at this time here. These numbers are a moving target because no one has had the full access to every part of where Hurricane Helene have impacted to do a full assessment. And so it's going to be assessing as they go. So these numbers will obviously change and most likely increase as they discover more and more, because the early estimates were lower, and then as they discover more damages and more situations, they're realizing that the impact is greater than initially thought. Now, in terms of total economic loss, from property damages to loss of income to loss of revenue for businesses to loss of productivity, that total number is $225 billion to $250 billion of economic loss. So we're talking about a tremendous amount of loss that came from just one hurricane. Now, with Milton on the way, Milton's going to hit later on this afternoon into tomorrow, and they're expected, that's going to be maybe another 200 billion, maybe even $300 billion of estimated loss from that. So you're talking about $500 billion of loss through two hurricanes. And so this is going to be one of the most devastated season in terms of natural disaster causing damages and economic loss to our communities here. But again, at the same time, as a entrepreneur, as a business owner, you have a chance to go help those communities rebuild and recover and put their lives and pieces back together as best they can. So lots of resources out there. And so if you look at historically, right, we've got throughout the last few decades, we have seen natural disaster increase, and now these numbers were adjusted for inflation and so forth. And so we're talking about Helene can probably, be one of the greatest impact, even greater than Katrina. And with Milton, we're talking about this season is going to be one of the worst season in terms of natural disaster that's impacting people here. Now, if we look at this here, the average is about $28 billion a year. And what that means is that there's opportunities for you as a business owner to go and support these communities to recover. Now, based upon NOAA, we're looking at lots and lots of charts in terms of different period of times and throughout the years what's happened. And again, if we look at this here, there's a few in terms of total years from January all the way till December. But 2017 was a record high, but 2024 is probably going to surpass that. So the first type of support and the first type of needs that communities have is they need immediate relief, right? First of all, they need to be rescued for some. For those that did not leave, or the storm or the hurricane impacted them beyond what was initially anticipated. So the immediate help to the communities will need to go to families, and FEMA and the Army Corps of Engineers and the different groups. They are the first people on the grounds to do the immediate, and the local communities, the local municipalities, they are the immediate support to those that have been impacted. And then after that comes volunteers and so forth. So these are the resources that we're going to cover in more detail. So for individuals and family members that's been impacted, FEMA, or the executive office, the president, is going to declare a specific location as a natural disaster area. And then these websites here will start to track and will start to put resources together to help those communities. So we're going to do a quick break in a second where I'm going to do a live demo and take you through some of these different sites here and show you how to navigate there. Now, as it relates to as soon as the storm or the natural disaster is done, then there's food and shelter, right? Shelter, there's the Red Cross provides immediate access to some type of shelter. They coordinate whether it's at a high school gymnasium or whether it's at a community facilities. The Red Cross is one. FEMA also works with different hotel organizations. Before, FEMA normally relies on trailers and other resources like that, but that is too slow because now you have to wait until trailers are able to be put in place. So FEMA started working smarter. So they started working with local hotels that have not been, that's still operational. And so FEMA does do provide hotel vouchers and support from immediate shelters, as well as Airbnb has a nonprofit arm to where certain families will volunteer and they're funded by Airbnb and some of their nonprofit arms. But so instead of your Airbnb waiting for someone to book it, you would use your Airbnb as a shelter for a family or an individual in need, and then there's resources that will support you from Airbnb as the homeowner or as the person providing the facilities there. So Airbnb does provide resources, and then the Salvation Army has resources and shelters as well. So these are some of the resources here. And then FEMA does have an app. If you have family members that are in community that's impacted, they can use a FEMA app. And in the FEMA app, it will tell them where the shelters are, where the different support facilities are, from food resources to where they can take a nice warm shower, all the way to where there's gas and there's food available, and where their support communities is at. So FEMA app is another great resource. I'm going to pause here for a second, and instead of continue, I'm going to go and just look through a few of these sites here to kind of walk you through some of this here. So we're going to go to the first one. Now, for this first site here, if you want to know which community has been declared as a federal disaster recovery area, this website here, it will show you from what time to what time, what are the natural federally declared areas. And so, for example, I'm going to put 2024 here in terms of the start and then the end. And I'm going to put all type of declaration, right? In terms of, major declaration or anything, I'm just going to leave it all. And I'm going to not put state. I'm just going to filter this here. And then it's going to give me a list of all of the declaration that has happened. So you can see Hurricane Milton, this just happened, a few days ago. And it's in progress as we speak right here. People are leaving the areas, and many of them have left days ago, but there's still some that's leaving out of St. Petersburg and Tampa and some of the Florida coast, all of the beaches down there. And then you can see, okay, so these are the different areas that have been declared. So for example, If you are in Tennessee, then you will click on this here, and it will tell you the different resources that's available to you. So if you want to look at state resources, you click on this here, and it will take you here. And then now you can dive in a little bit more of where do you go for local resources at the state level. And then from that, each one of these here, they will give more information about how you can get support from your local community at the state level. So this is one way of how you can dive deeper in terms of how to get help. I'm going to cover some of this here a little bit more as well, but this is the first layer, right? If you are in Georgia, you click on this link, and it's going to say, okay, these are the state and local resources here. There's some distress helpline, and there's news, medias, and all of that there. So you can kind of come through here and look at what FEMA has gathered and the resources that's available for state-specific communities. So this is one of the first resources. Let's go to the second website here. So we're going to go to disasterassistance.gov. So when you come to disasterassistance.gov, you can come in here, you can say, okay, let's put together, let me research, one of my colleagues here, Augusta, Georgia. And all right, come on. All right, the search for local resources is not necessarily working for me right now. Yeah, not let me change it right now, but you can come in here, you can view other resources here. For example, if you're looking for shelter, you click here. If you're looking for business loans, so these are all the resources, and you can come in here and they go into a lot more detail in terms of how you can get help, how you can apply for support. So, and I'm just going to put in this here. Yeah, Georgia, let's see. So now they can actually say, okay, these are the resources related to this here, Hurricane Helene. And then you kind of go next. And then it tells you, okay, which county are you looking for? And then it can tell you what are the resources related to that specific area. So this is another tool that you want to use. So let's continue because we got a lot more to cover. The shelter, you guys can use this here. I'm going to provide these slides for you at the end. And so stick around to the end. You'll have access to all these slides here, and all the links will be available to you so that you can have it. So you feel free to do screenshots if you want, but we're going to give you these slides. So the next item, right? Shelters. One of the things was people didn't know how their loved ones were impacted. So you talk about cell phone communication, data went down, internet went down, and so there was very limited communication in some areas of the 6 states that was impacted by Hurricane Helene. And so there are some resources where you can actually check to see where there is hotspots and where there's internet connection. And this is one of the resources here to check. Now, there are some I've seen where T-Mobile and Xfinity, they have mobile units where they actually go into the areas to provide for support for the local communities as well. But this is one way to find where you can have connectivity to recharge your phone, to make phone calls, or to have hotspots at these using these resources here. Now, if your loved ones or peers have, as they go through this, here, many of them are without work, and without, if they're not working, there's a loss of income. So there are resources to replenish and to help the individuals through what they call the disaster unemployment assistance. And so this is the website to it. And every state has their own version of this here. And so when you go to this site here, it's going to allow you to go to the specific local office. And then for many of you, the Department of Labor will also have resources that bring you back to the DUA program as well. Now let's talk about for companies and businesses. If you have been impacted, or if you know individuals that's been impacted and their business is shut down or their business is devastated to the point where it's going to take time for them to recover. There are some disaster related loans, very low interest loans to support businesses to recover until they can rebuild their company or to help them get by. And so the SBA does have some lending programs specifically for disaster assistance. And we will do a quick view of this site and walk you through for a quick second here. So when you come to the SBA site, you can actually come in here and say, apply for SBA loan, apply for disaster assistance. And they have different type of support. And so they support renters, homeowners, businesses of all sizes, and nonprofit as well. But you have to be in one of the declared disaster area. So if you're interested in this here, you come in here and then you just put in where you're at. Let's say Florida and Broward County, and then if you're a home or a business, and then you just kind of follow these prompts here. So you can put in here economic. Would you like to view Secretary of Agriculture declaration? And you can, if you are a farmer, we'll talk more about that in a second as well. So follow these prompts here, and there's different type of support for your loved ones as they go through their time to recover here. So coming back to our slides, let's continue with the slides here. And now, if you are a nonprofit or you're a public agency, there are some specific support for nonprofits and private non-government organization as well. And so this is the link to that there. For farmers, there are some specific resources for you. You can go to the USDA have service centers for farmers, and they have different type of recovery support for the agricultural industry as well. And so these are the resources for that there. Now, there's other types of support out there. And if you are unemployment, there's resources out there. There's workforce investment funding out there to workforce investment is where if you've been impacted, whether it's through job loss or whether it's through a natural disaster, they will fund. There is funding so that you can go do some type of professional training, whether you want to do a project management program, or you want to learn to be a capture manager, or you want to advance your career in a different area. So Workforce Investment Act is great for that there. There's also economic development grants, as well as, we talked about earlier, business loans and support for communities through loans from the SBA. And then there's also job opportunities, and we'll talk a little bit more about job opportunities. If you're a individual, you say, hey, you know what, I want to um, look for work, or if you know family members or friends who want to look for work related to disaster relief work, we're going to talk about that as well. Now, there's a lot of scams and a lot of rumors and a lot of false claims out there. So I'm going to take a quick second and talk about that a little bit. And misinformation hurt people. So don't, if you see something, don't just share it, uh, you know, because it can hurt somebody else. So not all information out there, are accurate, and there's a lot of misinformation out there, and there's a lot of scams out there. So be very careful of scams as well. So I'll just look at this part here, and we're gonna do a quick look at this site more. Minimize this here. All right, so let's talk about this here for a second. Now, the best elements come out. People volunteer. People go out there and use the sweat of their brow to help the communities rebuild. But at the same time, there's shameless people, shameless organizations out there taking advantage of people as well. And so we want to talk a little bit about this here, because you want to educate yourself, but also educate your friends and families to avoid scams. I've seen a few already myself, as an association where we help businesses. I've seen a few that have come through our ways, and I said, you know what, that's a scam. And so if you come in here, it talks about scams. So the one scam is this here. Someone's going to come and potentially knock on your door, and they're going to say, hey, I want to help you sign you up for relief funding. There's some grants for you, or there's some government funding for you, and I want you to sign up here. Give me all your information, and I'm going to go and, or they might even wear some volunteer badges. They might even wear some look official badges, like they're with FEMA or with some type of governmental organization. And they will come and they will gather all your data, all your information, and then they will go and fill out the information with fake addresses or fake resources, so that whatever legitimate claims that's supposed to be coming to you, it goes to them. And then after a while, they disappear. So, for example, we talk about the unemployment, related to disaster funding that's available for you out there. Someone will take your ID, your information, and go out there and do something with that there. So now some other scams comes where they would say that they will help you to remove trees or to remove debris, and just pay them so much money, and they would do that. They may never show back up to do the work. So just be cautious. There's a lot of different shysters out there, or lots of scammers out there. And so be aware of what's going on with the community and your loved ones out there. So with that, let's go back to our slides. And if you run into any scams, please report it. Now let's talk about contract opportunities, right? Because that's the main reason why many of you are here, is how do I help the communities rebuild? And so let's go into the contracting opportunity side of this here. So as it relates to contracting opportunities, there's opportunities with insurance companies because many of whether it's flood insurance or whether it's property damages and insurance claims, if you're an auto mechanic, there's opportunities to fix people's cars. There's lots of different opportunities related to insurance claims. Another is with other businesses. So other businesses will need you to support them. And then there's homeowners that will say, hey, my home is damaged or I need support related to my home. And then there's also federal opportunities. And for the bulk of what I'm going to spend the next part of this series, we're going to talk about federal, state, counties, and opportunities there. And so typically in terms of government fundings, 50% of it comes from the feds, and then 50% of that resources diverge to the state and to the local municipalities to support that community to rebuild and get back to a thriving community again. FEMA is one of the main organizations. The Army Corps of Engineers is another one. Same thing with GSA. There are some large primes that already have established contracts with FEMA, Corps of Engineers, and GSA. And so we'll talk more about that and how you can engage them in a second. We'll look at some very specific practical examples in a second. And then state agencies, right? Money flows from the feds to the state, and then the state through their emergency response team and through state funding, different grants or different programs, there's opportunities for you as a business to work with the state. And then there's also specific local cities and local municipalities, counties, and so forth that receive this funding, and then they use that funding to rebuild their local communities as well. So we'll dive deeper into all these, not all of them, but some of these here in these next few slides here. So how does the money flow here? First of all, the money is going to go to existing contract holders. So they're not going to come to you directly as a new business that you haven't, or you may be the business being around for a long time, but you've never really thought about doing disaster recovery work. This is not the time for you to be the prime directly with the government. And so you want to identify who are the existing contract holders already, because these companies have 5 years, 10-year contracts, whether with FEMA or with Corps of Engineers. They have these existing contracts already. And so it's your best option is to go to these contract holders. I'm going to show you in a little bit how to find these companies here. And then you want to find out who are the primes, right? They hold IDIQ contracts, MATOC contracts. IDIQ contracts are indefinite delivery, indefinite quantity, and it's multi-years and it's billions of dollars that they actually manage. And so these primes here, they have the contracts. Your job is to work with them. GSA, schedules or GSA mass, multiple award schedules. Some of these contracts are already been awarded to GSA contract holders, and so you can engage them, or you can engage them to work with you to go after more projects as well. And then there's different type of contracting vehicles. So these are 4 areas in terms of how do you access these opportunities and where is the flow of money. Now, if you're talking about product and services, right? So immediately there's going to be some immediate needs, and that will go to the pre-approved contractors. And then, some of the more immediate is saving the immediate properties, saving the immediate individuals. And then there's debris removals and the stabilization with the shelters and temporary housing and hotels. And then there's logistics, right? So they're going to need logistics, transportation, trucking, hauling. They're going to need water because the running water is either shut off or contaminated. So the tap water in your home, you cannot use that, cannot drink that. Maybe not even potable to cook with or shower with, because depending on certain conditions. So water is essential, and then there's also food, right? MREs and canned goods and meals. And so if you are in any of these industry here, you're needed. If you are in logistics, you're needed. If you sell canned goods, or if you sell produce and or medical kits, all of those different things are needed. Other types of services and products that's needed. Some of them are short term, some of them are long term. So building and repair, right? Building repair renovations, mold remediation, new construction. We're not going to rebuild communities in 1 week. We're not going to rebuild communities in 2 years. It's going to be 5, 6, 7, maybe even decades to rebuild some of these communities to where there's some source, some form of normalcy. And so, if some of you have been back to New Orleans during Katrina, many of those communities have not recovered, and that's a long time ago. So, and then there's furniture and there's technology installation and telecommunication needs, and all of these areas. If you are in any of these areas, you're needed. Your services, your products are needed. Rebuilding infrastructure and roads and bridges and um, capital improvements, all types of different projects are needed. Samples of opportunities out there. So these are specific opportunities that I pull from sam.gov. So medical supplies, medical equipment's needed. They need portable toilets. They need concrete repairs. They need guard services for certain communities because of potential looting and different things like that. Other examples, they need levees to be rebuilt. They need call centers with bilingual call agents. They need consumable medical supplies, medical equipment, and they need transportation. They need camping equipment. They need tents, chainsaw supplies. They need ravioli, canned goods, and tuna, and spaghetti and meatballs. And they're not talking about they're talking about thousands and thousands of this year, right? They need canned vegetables and mixed vegetables. They need canned fruits, and again, thousands and thousands of this year. So this is pulled directly from opportunities that related to disaster relief work. Now, look at some example of USDA and Department of Forestry. They're looking for chainsaw repair service. They're looking for chipper. They're looking for helicopter support services. They're looking for heavy equipment. Uh, Feller, buncher, I have no idea what that is. A mulcher, masticator. They need road grader. They need skidders. They need strip mulchers. Mobile communication units, mobile sleeper units, potable gray water trucks and so forth, and hand washing stations and gray water truck and potable water trucks, all kinds of different things related to what the USDA is looking for. Now, in terms of long term, expect billions and billions, right? Because immediately after natural disaster, the executive office is going to allocate funding to FEMA and Corps of Engineers. But after the immediate response, then Congress is going to approve billions and billions in terms of that will go to the federal agencies, that will go to the state, to the county, to the cities, and so forth. So we're talking about, remember at the very beginning, I said that a potential impact from Hurricane Helene is about $225 billion to $250 billion. So some of that funding is going to come from insurance. Some of that funding is going to come from state budgets, but a lot of that funding is going to come from the federal government. So funding for roads, bridges, transportation enhancement, pipe replacements, lots of infrastructure support that's going to be long-term. So those are some of the long-term needs, right? So how are contract awarded related to disaster relief? So there's different groups out there, right? One is under the Stafford Disaster Relief and Emergency Assistance Act. There is a local preference. So what does that mean? So for example, let's assume you are a construction company and you're based out of Alabama. In Alabama, yeah, there were some minor damages, but it wasn't declared as one of the 6 states. And you have equipment, you have resources, or maybe you might be out of Texas and you have equipment, you have resources that you want to do work in the state of Georgia. Well, there is a local preference, meaning that FEMA or Corps of Engineers is going to make every effort to find a company that's based locally first, because what that does, it helps bring revenue to the local community so they can rebuild faster. But if you're outside of the local community that's been impacted as a declared disaster area, then you want to find a local company to work with. So that's really your first thought if you're not local. Now, if you are local, then obviously you don't have to necessarily look for a teaming partner that's local to that community. FEMA have and Corps of Engineers, they have contracting opportunities as well as Homeland Security. And so there's contract opportunities directly with them, as well as the uh, other organization we're going to be talking about. GSA, they have a list of contractors. So if you're looking for a local organization, this is a one way of how you can find them through this contractor list here. So I'm going to take a second. I'm going to demonstrate this here for you. So these are all of the companies that have already been vetted, right? These are not just scammy companies that just pop up, say, "Oh, wow, there's a disaster. I'm going to take my pickup truck and I'm going to go make millions." This is not that, right? These are companies that's been existing for a while. They've been around and they've gone through a vetting process, getting registered in SAM. They've gone through the process of getting their GSA multiple award schedule. So these are all your companies in here. And so if you come in here, you can actually search, right? And so I can put in here construction. So now I can see, oh, okay, here are some um, opportunities related to this here. So GSA have mobile home trailers, lawn equipment, wall units. And so if I click on this specific, right? If I click on this specific NAICS code here, then it's going to tell me, or not NAICS code, but the mass code there. It's going to tell me the companies that have that contract vehicle. So now I can quickly come in here. I can say, okay, um, who in here? Proper industry. So I can come in, I can go to the website, and I can say, okay, is this a company that I want to work with? I can also come in here, I can look at the price list. And the price list is here. And I can say, okay, are they affordable for me to work with? Or are they, how do they price their services and so forth? So use this list here. I'm going to go back to my slides because we got more stuff to cover about. So, all right, so how else, right, are disaster contract awarded? HUD have support related to housing and loan programs for housing related. So HUD has their own, and then HUD also has the um, HUD Section 3 program, certification program. So if you want to do work with HUD, they have different resources to help you. There's also community development grants as well. So utilize these resources here. And again, we talked about SBA has loans to help businesses. USDA has a what they call the Viper initiative, and the insurance have different type of contractor work as well. So if so there's many different paths of how you go out there and pursue contracting opportunities to help the communities rebuild, you have to choose, okay, which is the best path? Now, I'm going to share with you a very important path in a second, but let's look at USDA here through the Viper program. So if you come here, USDA, they need different type, right? It's like, for example, if you are, if you have a trucking business and you want to haul heavy equipment from one part of the forest to another part of the forest, from one location to another location, if you're in aviation, right? If you're in aviation, um, the Department of Forestry needs different types. If you are in, if you provide food or different type of shelters, so they have resources here, and so you can come in here and you can say, okay, I want to be a vendor with them, and then you can come in here and go through the process of becoming a vendor with the. Now these are specific resources tied to each agency. Now, obviously, SAM, right? SAM as a whole, you have to be registered in SAM, but these are additional resources to be in with a specific agency. So the Viper program is one of such resources. Let's continue here. Let me get to, here we are here. Now, other ways, right? Through existing primes and or existing contract holders. So these are some of the companies: Accenture, Khaki, Comprehensive Health, CSRA. These are some of the companies, but this is just a list. And what you want to do is you want to take this link here, and you want to go to this is the DHS, Homeland Security, their list of prime contractor. So if you go in here, you want to investigate, okay, who here is an existing prime that I can work with. So for example, right, you go through here, you can, Clark Construction, this is their point of contact here. So if you want to do work with Clark Construction, you go to the website. They do construction management 236-220. And then this is the person, Navalette Josephs. And this is the small business specialist. So they actually have two small business liaison officer, Wesley and Navalette. And these are the people you reach out to, and you can say, hey, we are, this is who we are, and we want to support the work that you guys are doing. Now, before you say we want to support your, disaster relief work, you want to go to their website to make sure that they're doing disaster relief work. So don't assume that all of them are doing disaster relief work, because not all primes are doing disaster relief work. So, but these are the companies. So these are the primes. So there's no mystery, right? You just come in here and you just look at these primes and to see if they're somebody you want to work with. Now, this company, Ready America, like if you make certain type of kits, instead of you trying to compete with Ready America, you can go and sell your kits to them. You can say, hey, you guys you already have the prime contract. I would like to sell my emergency kit, whether it is, whatever type of emergency kit. It may be different from what they already have. So if you have something unique, some type of emergency kit, like if you have a cell phone battery that will last a whole week, so that it can be part of recovery, because when somebody's most typical cell phone is going to last half a day to a day to maybe, if they really hold on to it, for 2 days, and they might need something like that. So if you have unique products, instead of competing with Ready America, they become the prime that you sell through them. So these are different strategies, right? In the government market, 70% of projects require 2 or more companies to work together. So you never want to look at it as a competitor. You're looking at what I call co-opetition. And we're going to talk about co-op in a second. So stick around, and I'm going to talk about how you can be part of a co-op, because instead of you knocking on these doors by yourself, we're going to actually form a co-op to knock on the doors collectively. So coming back to this here, let's continue in terms of the process. So how do you prepare for disaster relief work? One is don't chase, right? Because if you're chasing, you're always behind the 8 ball. So you want to prepare in advance, because if you do that, then you won't go in circles. Obviously you have to register to do work. Even if you're working with a prime, you have to register with the prime to do work. There's a SAM website, the DSBS portal, Dynamic Small Business Search Portal. There's also FEMA has a portal as well. And then you want to build relationships before you need them. And there is one of the older trainer speaker, can't remember his name. He says, dig your well before you're thirsty, right? Dig your well before you're thirsty. Don't wait until you're thirsty, because at that time there's not you won't have enough fluid, enough stamina to dig a well at that point. So you want to build the relationship, prep your business in advance. Now, if you're in SAM, as you're going through your SAM registration, there is this question here: do you wish to be included in disaster response registry? You want to say yes. And if you're a construction company, you want to put in here the bonding level that you have, and you want to choose any state. So you make sure in your SAM portal, if you have not already done this, you want to go and double check, right? Under, you go through all these steps here and you get to disaster response information. You want to make sure that you check yes. If you don't check yes, you're not going to be in the portal. Now, GSA have a disaster response designation as well. And then FEMA have a industry liaison program as well. And obviously you want to be as many as you can, because everybody, some contractor officer, some program manager use one resource more than others. So the more resources that you're set up on, the more access you will have. If you're in different states, Florida has, you want to be registered in the Florida marketplace. They have, different certifications that you want to prep in advance. And then Texas have their own vendor database and certification program. Georgia and Puerto Rico and different states have their own, right? Now, if I didn't cover your state or your city, then what you want to do is you want to go into Google, and then you put in Tampa vendor registration. And then that specific local municipality, usually the first 2 or 3 links will take you directly on how to register to do work with that local municipality. Now, if you are out of state and you want to do work locally, it's also good to be registered locally with that local municipality, because they publish their opportunities through their portal as a, so yes, you register as a vendor to them, but now you can see the opportunities that they have. Other ways of how you find relief work, right? Through SAM and the Unison Marketplace. Unison Marketplace are typical contracts under $250,000. So the Unison Marketplace is a great starting point for many of you. If you're not, you have to be registered in SAM to be in the Unison Marketplace here. Unison Marketplace used to be called FedBid. It was bought out by Unison Global, so now they call it the marketplace.unisonglobal.com. And then, GovGenie lists out opportunities, govgenie.com. And then there's also the DHS. They have a forecast database of opportunities related to them. So, and FEMA has their own forecast as well. Now, if to find work itself, these are the different resources, where you can actually go find opportunities related to Florida, Georgia, North Carolina. Again, I know there's a lot of links, and these links are long. So I'm going to make available the slides to you so that you can have direct access to these slides here. South Carolina have their own list where you can go get bid opportunities from them, same as Tennessee and Virginia. Texas, these are the different resources where you can find contract opportunities with them, and Louisiana is here. Now, I mentioned earlier that you can also, if you have someone who's unemployed, if you have family members that need work, they can become a FEMA inspector. And by being an inspector, FEMA already have IDIQ contracts with Vanguard and with WSP inspections. So they already have contracts with these different organizations. And so what you want to do is you want to go to these websites and then apply to become an inspector. And they pay $39 to $50 per inspection. So let's assume, so you go into a location that's been impacted. What you want to do is you're going to go from house to house to house, and so the inspector will go in and say, okay, what type of roof damage? They're going to use technology to identify and track the roof damage, the piping damage, the siding damage, the concrete damage, plumbing damage, and then they're going to track all of that. And then each time they do an inspection, they will get paid. If a newbie is $39, and if you're a seasoned inspector, is $50 per inspection. So you can do, if you do 10 a day, which you can do more than 10 a day, this is a great way to bring income to support the community. But what they do with the inspection is, once the inspection is done, then it goes into FEMA's database, and the FEMA will assign the work to the remediation company, to the construction company, to the renovation company, and say, okay, this is your work order for the day, and we've got these 15 homes for you to go and repair today. Or, if it's light. Now, if it's major damage, it might just be one home or two homes, or it might be one home for a whole week, depending on the inspection report and what's needed. So you will, so there's two sides to this, right? Doing the inspection, you get paid, or being the restoration company, you get paid to do that work as well. And then they do pay for your travel costs, hotel, per diems, meals, and so forth. And so you won't be, so this is money to you, and then they cover your travel and per diem costs. Let me do take you quickly here, just as an example. And again, these links are available for you. Where's my... So I'm going to come in here, paste these. So if you come in here, right, WSP, you come in here, you can say, okay, this is where they currently have inspectors. So if you have any family that live in any of these municipalities, or it doesn't matter where they live, if they want to travel, because they're paying for your hotels, right? They're paying for your food and your meals and your car rentals. You can actually be from anywhere and then go into this different local area and then do work itself. And so you come in here, become an inspector, and then read through this here, and then watch some of their videos and the training and then you go through their training process. They'll teach you how to become an inspector. Now, if you are a business and you want to really understand work related to disaster relief, you want to sign up to be an inspector. So, because now you understand what the government is looking for. So yeah, you may not necessarily be an inspector, but if you are a supervisor helping do renovation work, you want to go through this here also and get the training so that you can understand exactly what FEMA and Corps of Engineers and the government is looking for. Now, there's other resources out there. All of this, there are different resources out there, so you'll have access to this here. But what I want to talk about is a teaming co-op. And so a teaming co-op, we are putting together a construction teaming co-op to go after disaster relief work itself. So if you are a business, you'll say, "Hey, where do I start? I see all the links, all the presentation that you made, but I'm still like, where do I start?" Well, this might be a good place to start because we are putting this co-op together, and the co-op is a cooperative of, and teaming just means that multiple companies going to come and work collectively together. And so we're having a orientation to talk about what is a teaming co-op. And so you're going to learn what it is. You're going to learn the benefits of a co-op. You're going to learn how better to pursue disaster relief work. What are the opportunities out there? The type of industries that we're looking for, and who might be this for, and then how you can get to contract faster by working in a teaming approach versus going at it alone. So we're going to put together a orientation to talk about this here. So who should attend this teaming co-op orientation? Obviously, construction company, renovation companies, logistics services company, debris removal, satellite communication, wireless internet service providers, trucking, hauling, tree service, facilities management company, janitorial cleaning companies, janitorial cleaning, transportation companies, and just really any organization that says, you know what, I think my services can help communities recover. And so this teaming co-op is going to happen, and you can learn more about the teaming co-op. Go to teaming co-op and learn what is the teaming co-op. But the event is actually going to happen on the 15th of because this is real time, and so the event is going to happen on October 15th at 3 p.m. Eastern. So if you are interested in the teaming co-op, October 15th, 3 p.m. Eastern, we're going to make that available to you. All you have to do right now is go and read up more about what is a teaming co-op, and then my producer is going to put the link to the event itself. So 3 p.m. Eastern time, 3 to 4, actually 4:30, because we got a lot to cover. So plan for about an hour and a half. And so the link to the event is there. You can go ahead and register for the event link right there in the chat area. But you can learn about the teaming co-op here. And then lastly, I want to talk a little bit about we have a training program in terms of equipping you so that you can be more successful in the government market. And we call it Capture Management Training. And so this is 3 years of knowledge. You're going to receive it in 14 weeks. We're going to train you to be a salesperson for your company. And so if you're interested in learning how to equip your business so that you can be more successful in the government market, we take you through a step-by-step process. We use a tool, a program to specifically support you, and you can learn more about the Capture Management Program. This program also starts on the 15th, which is next Tuesday. So this program here is 14 weeks every Tuesday night from 6 to 8 p.m., where we're going to teach you how to be a capture manager or a salesperson, BD person for your own company to go out there and grow your business. So with that, I'm going to open it up for any Q&A. And this is the link. My producer is going to put this link into the chat so that you can have access to the PowerPoint slides that we've covered today. Now, when you go to this link here, don't ask for permission to join our Dropbox folder. You don't need to ask for permission. And I say this every time, but we have about 20 of you will say, hey, can I get permission to join your Dropbox folder? We're not going to give you permission to join our Dropbox folder. What we will do is we give you full access to the slides. So all you have to do is when you're here is click on the download button at the very top here. Click download, and then it's going to download these slides here for you. So that's how you do it. You come in here, click on the download button, and get the slides that way. So at this point here, producer, do we have any questions related to anything? Any questions? Or if you have questions, put in the chat, and I'll stick around for a few seconds to address any questions. Okay, so Amy has a question. As a capture manager, can that be considered as a middleman for business trying to get into the government contracting marketplace? So I'm going to share a few thoughts around. There's a lot of trainers and a lot of gurus out there that teach a middleman um, technique in the government market. I would say that's a double-edged sword strategy. If you are a middleman, be very careful because you can lose your business. You can get debarred by being a middleman. And so be very careful with that strategy. What you do want to do is this, sir. The way to avoid being a middleman, or sometimes they call it being a broker, is to add value to the process. So you don't just want to be a pass-through, right? The government calls it a pass-through. And so, in fact, in the government market, never use the term middleman. Because if you use the term middleman, like if you're talking to a contracting officer, you say, oh, I'm a broker or I'm a middleman, they will not want to do business with you. So I don't teach middleman technique. I teach you the proper way of how to set your business, how to add value to the suppliers, to the vendors that you're working with. And so, yes, in the capture management program, we do teach you the proper way to not be a middleman, but to really set up your business to where you can add value and you can make money, money that you're not going to get in trouble with the government. And so, unfortunately, there are a lot of gurus out there that teaches middleman, and some of them teach it properly, but many of them teach it where you will get in trouble. So, in fact, don't use the word middleman in the government market. And I hope some of those people who are teaching that technique will stop using the term middleman. I think it's easy to understand by teaching you, hey, you can be a middleman and it's easy. And so they sell the easy process, but there is nothing easy about government contracting. If you're thinking that you're going to sleep at home and make money off your computer, there are a few things you can do it that way. But government contracting is an active business. You have to be active in it. It's not a work from home type of industry. You have to be actively involved. You have to be out there building trust, building relationship, working with vendors, adding value to the process, and making a lot of good money at the same time. So yes, we do help you with that there. So question here, will the co-op members be able to use work with you past experience on their cable stream? Okay, that's a good example here. Let me share with you a little bit about how the Teaming Co-op, give you a sneak peek of what we're going to cover next Tuesday. So a Teaming Co-op is where all of the teaming partner, everybody signs a teaming partnership agreement. What does that mean? When you sign this teaming partnership agreement, all of their past performance becomes your past performance. So, like for example, we have an IT teaming co-op. For some of you, if you're in IT, we do have IT teaming co-op. We're forming a construction and disaster-related teaming co-op starting next Tuesday. But we have an IT teaming co-op, and all of the past performances. So, for example, some companies have 5 past performances, some have 3, some have 10. But collectively in that IT teaming co-op, there's over 50 past performances that they can share with each other. And they can say, hey, and they work in a very, we build synergy, we build trust with each other, and they work in a manner to where they can say, they get to expand their services, their offerings to other niche market. Like one company, in a very specific example, two companies were bidding on a project, and she didn't have expertise in that area. And she said, "Is it possible for me to join you on that team?" And the person said, "Yeah, absolutely." And they found a way to include her on a project. And so the IT teaming co-op, I believe they won 2 or 3 contracts together since we started working with them. So let's see if I got time for one more question. So Christy asked, is there an exact agency that I should be pursuing? I make feminine hygiene products that would love any references. So that is needed, especially when a natural disaster happens. A lot of the toiletries and a lot of the feminine products, a lot of just basic things are gone. So, but what you probably want to do is reach out to us, Christy, and be more than happy to talk to about a strategy for you in terms of what you can do with what you sell. Send an email to info@govcontractors.org. Our emails in the chat, and just say, hey, I want to set up a quick 30-minute strategy session to learn more about how I can get my products into the government market, and be more than happy to help you with that there. Um, any Okay, so one question is, we assemble custom first aid and medical kits. Will we be able to join the co-op? So Lolita, you can come to the co-op orientation. After that, I probably want to set up a separate meeting, like for you and the lady that sells the feminine products. The co-op is more related to construction, related to facilities, to transportation, but because that's an ongoing co-op, because we're going to help them pursue disaster relief work. But I would love to talk to products driven organizations and provide you additional strategies in terms of how you can get your products to the government market. So we can address that. Come to the orientation and we could talk more about that, and I can set up a separate time for you. So with that, we are way over our time allocation here. Really appreciate all of you. Next week, I told you guys last week that we were going to be talking about how to buy a business to scale your government contracting company with potentially zero money out of your own pocket, right? Now, there will be some type of investment, right? You might have to pay for an attorney, a few things, but I'm going to show you a few ways of how you can buy a business and not have to put any money out of your own pocket. And so, but by you buying a business, instantly you get past performance, instantly you get revenue. So we're going to talk about that strategy next week for our Win Government Contract podcast. So come back and join me next Wednesday, 11:30. And then for some of you, please join me on Tuesday at 3 p.m. Eastern as we do the Construction Teaming Co-op. And I'm going to share with you what that's all about. And maybe that might be a good fit. And maybe it's an application process. So we don't accept everybody into that program. So come ready to learn and to give to that there. You are one contract away from your goals, your dreams. Thanks for joining me, and keep going. Do not stop. The only people that don't win are those that stop along the way. So you will get to your journey of winning government contracts. I will see you in another episode. Take care, everybody.